What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on Proven Power Cycles. For those who don't know me, my name is Eric. I'm the tuner here at Proven Power Cycles. We got Lewis and Kyle in the other room working away right now. Today we have a brand new 2024 Yamaha XSR900. So guys, today what we're gonna do, and this isn't gonna be another like crazy video per se, but he does have an Akrapovic exhaust system, and it's got a giant like catalytic converter on this exhaust, and it also has a DB killer welded into the muffler. So what we're gonna do is we're at least gonna take out that DB killer. We're also going to install a DNA air filter and block off plates for the AIS or pair valve system. So along with all of that, we're going to pair all of that and wrap it all up with an ECU flash and a custom dyno tune. Okay. Now these bikes, super pretty. They're awesome. They have a second gear kind of lag to it. Also fifth and sixth. They have a restriction fifth and sixth. There are some other things I'm going to go over when I get into the ECU and the mapping and everything, and I'll kind of bring those to light. But all in all, that's kind of the majority that we're looking at. So right now, before we perform any work, and this is with the majority of the bikes that come through these doors, if you guys are getting a lot of work done by us, a lot of times we baseline the bike prior to doing any of the work. So A, we can see if there's any other issues that the owner is unaware of, and B, also to show you guys how you're coming in versus actually how the bike is leaving, so you can see what you gain with all of the modifications that we do here, okay? And this applies, like I said, to about 90 to 95% of the bikes that come through here who are actually getting work done by us. This is kind of something that I throw in there into all the packages, and we don't really advertise it, but here we are on YouTube, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna set the camera up here, warm up the bike, and get the doors all opened up in here, and yeah, start going to town on this bad boy and see what this baseline is. All right, guys, so we got the XSR off the dyno, and it is on the lift. Yeah, so I mean, more or less, here's what it looks like with the tank off, the seat off, some of the fairings obviously off, the side fairings here. We are just now getting to the airbox. So as you can see here, we got these funky little snorkels going on to get into the airbox, but that's really interesting, actually. I'm gonna see if we can modify this and open this all up. Oh yeah, we definitely can. We're gonna open this bad boy up. So we'll modify that. We'll get more airflow going in there. We got the DNA air filter that's gonna go in there, and we also got the pair valve assembly. They call it AIS delete or pair delete, however you wanna call it, but it's a smog block off basically, so we're gonna do that. And here is the ECU on these bad boys. Luckily on the Euro 5, one of the cool things about it, you know, there's very little cool things about the Euro 5 stuff, but one of which is that we can actually go through with all the tuning to the diagnostic port back here to this red plug, more or less. We could do the majority of the tuning all through that. So that helps out a lot. You know, these older bikes, what we used to have to do is either pull the ECU out and bench flash it, or we had to pin in a wiring harness and then route the wiring harness all the way to the back here, and then we could do the ECU flashing and dyno tuning at that point. So yeah, there's some benefits to some of this newer stuff, but yeah, we're definitely gonna modify this for the guy. We're gonna hook him up. We're gonna modify this bad boy. We're gonna take this off and get the airflow going. So the other thing I wanted to point out very quickly is we got the baffle out. Kyle got this thing drilled out. So you had to drill it out, and at least the baffle comes out. So that's nice and straight through now. We don't have a restriction in the back there. And he still has this giant cat that, you know, that Akrapovic makes now, but this thing is pretty massive. It's this new bread box. It's pretty huge, but I don't know what the piping looks like inside of there. I am kind of curious to see if it's like a straight through system with just a bunch of fiberglass or what. But anyway, yeah, so we'll take this off, we'll modify this. We're gonna swap out the air filter, and then like I said, we got the pair valve to install. So I'll show you guys here an update in just a little bit. We'll show you what the pairs look like and taking them out and everything, and then show you what that looks like all taken apart too and all modified. All right, guys, so something really interesting actually that I noticed here. So not only did we discuss the top part of this Airbox, but something else I wanted to show you guys. And so here it goes. First things first, we're gonna get rid of this top piece here, which should open up a bunch more surface area for at least the air to travel into the intake here, into the Airbox, okay? Not only that, but I noticed when we were pulling it out, these trumpets, these bad boys, they go, if you look in there, so you can kind of see, here, let me get a flashlight in there. All right, so you see that, you know, it does a 90-degree angle down there. This one goes straight through, that's the lift on the other side, and then that one also has a 90-degree angle. So I don't know what it's gonna look like exactly, but I can tell you this, when we get rid of this all this top piece, it's gonna open up and it's not gonna have any sharp angles per se, even though this is rounded. It's not gonna have any extreme angles for the air to get into the intake. The other thing I wanted to point out is when this goes down into the actual intake, you can see, here, I'll set the box up. Let me get a light. So if you guys look into there, I'm gonna open this up and hold the flashlight kind of at the same time, but when you guys look, I'll open this up. Those runners go all the way down basically to the bottom of the Airbox where it's just flat plastic. So again, look at it when I open this up. You can see that they're pretty much touching the bottom of that Airbox. You see that? So we've lifted the Airbox up a little bit, obviously, and directly underneath that, it's flat plastic. And in this slot right here in the middle, that is where the air filter goes, right here. There's a slot right into there, okay? And that slot is where the air filter goes, all right? And this is what's in the way, is this big behemoth that's blocking like a good 30% of the surface area, 20%, 30% of the surface area easily from going inside your Airbox, inside your velocity stacks. So not only are you gonna have issues with the airflow, with this being as restrictive as it is, but you're also gonna have issues with the airflow with this, with the design of that, because when first of all, the air, every time you have a bend in airflow, whether it be going out or inside the engine, whenever air has to bend and change directions, think about it this way. Think about like you're running and I'm telling you to go run through those doors, right? Like through the main doors. I'm telling you you need to run out those doors and do a complete 180 and then run back inside. And then you need to do a 90-degree turn and then run that way down there. Every time you do a turn, you slow down and it creates a little bit of a backlog, right? Like it creates restriction. It creates back pressure. It creates these turbulent areas that you don't want those turbulent areas, okay? You want it to flow as freely as possible without as many bends as you can get it. You want it as directly as you can going into the Airbox. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna modify this. So we're gonna end up cutting these back a little bit. We'll modify them for the guy. We'll call him, we'll talk to him, but we're gonna modify this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these, okay? We're gonna cut these right across here, and we're gonna take off this top half. So that way the airflow is gonna go basically directly in, and then it'll have almost a direct line of path at that point through the new air filter, the DNA air filter. It'll have a direct line of path straight through that into the velocity stacks, and it should be able to suck in air a lot easier now and create a lot less friction, a lot less turbulence, and should increase this airflow a lot. So we should see an increase in torque, should see an increase in horsepower by doing this mod. You know, we also took out, like we talked about, we did take out this DB killer. Kyle did get all that out. So you know, we're freeing up quite a bit. We're also gonna do a custom dyno tune on this thing. So between the flash, the dyno tuning, and doing all of this, we're gonna free up quite a bit of, I have a feeling, I just have a feeling we're gonna free up quite a bit of power doing all this. So we'll see. This is the first time we have actually dove into the XSR900. So, and it's gonna be I'm pretty sure it's gonna be the same on the MT09 and maybe even on the new R9. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't taken one apart yet, but this is the CP3 engine, and a lot of the bikes share this CP3 engine. So I'm assuming that a lot of their airboxes are gonna be pretty similar. I would assume so, at least. So, but anyway, let's go ahead. We're gonna modify this thing. We're gonna start cutting. All right, guys, so we got the XSR done. Now, admittedly, you know, I made a couple little boo-boos, but all in all, it looks great. So I'm just gonna show you guys here. So this was the top portion of it, right? Remember the weird 3-piece snout? So we got rid of that. We drilled that all out, and then we cut the pieces that go all the way down, okay? So we cut all that out. So it's all one unit, so you can see here. So we cut that all out. So now instead of the air traveling all the way down and then kind of doing this weird 180 and then back into the airbox, as you can see here, before the air would come in, you know, in one of the snouts, I guess you could call it, it would come in here and then go down in here. And it would go all the way down to the bottom, and then it would have this tight little turn. So the air filter sat like this. So the air would have to go all the way down. Then it was coming through this little area here, this little spot. It would come in here, come through here, that small surface area, and then it would have to almost go up just a smidge to get up into the stacks. So now we got the DNA air filter in there, which takes up a massive surface area, okay? So the air is coming in. It's gonna have plenty of surface area to come through here to get inside of our intake plenum, okay? Now let me show you guys. Here's our modified airbox, okay? We've severely opened the hole up. Now you guys can clearly see, let me get a clear background here. So now we got a massive opening, and we chopped off here at the bottom. So it's gonna have a much bigger airflow, much more surface area rather, to be able to come into the airbox now and go into the air filter and into the stacks. So this is how it's gonna sit. Now guys, instead of the air coming, again, the air has to travel back in here, then go this way, then go down in here. This one was coming vertically down. This one was coming from the side and then vertically down. Now we've increased, again, this surface area along here. So now it has a much more direct air path to go into this air box and then make this 90-degree turn, if you will, back into the engine. So again, we've just opened this up a lot. I'm very curious to see how this is gonna play a part into the power band, but I can almost guarantee you that with all of this, increasing all of this surface area and increasing the amount of volume that we're gonna be able to get the air into the engine, I can almost guarantee you that we're gonna see an increase in power. I'd be very surprised if we do not see an increase in power, but we'll see what happens. Again, I'm here for the ride. So let's see what happens. We're gonna go ahead and bolt this bad boy back together, get the ECU back in place, get the fuel tank on, get all the fairings back on. Then this thing will see the dyno, and then what we'll do is actually we'll re-baseline the bike. We'll see what the modifications did, run it on the dyno, see what kind of power we get out of it without touching the tune. Then we'll do all the tuning and all that jazz and see what we ultimately come up with. But this has been a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, I've been really enjoying this little project just to see. We kind of stumbled on all this stuff, so pretty excited to see what this thing will do once it's all done up. Who knows, maybe we'll see some damn good power gains on this thing. So the power was a little low. We compared it to some of the XSRs that we have done, the 900 and the MT09s. We've compared it to some of those just to see the power band and all that. And this one, the way it was set up with the stock air filter and the Akrapovic exhaust with that baffle in it, it did dyno pretty low on the baseline. So now, granted, after a tune, everything changes, but just letting you guys know that we do normally see higher horsepower numbers than what we did see for the baseline. But all in all, let's see what it does. Let's see what it does with the final results. And then, you know, again, the numbers don't lie. The results will speak for themselves. So I'm gonna let Kyle go ahead and start reassembling this bad boy and get it ready for the dyno. All right, guys, so we got the XSR900 on the dyno clearly, and all the mods have been done. Airbox mod, air filter, you know, taking out the DB killer on the exhaust. And so what we're gonna do next, we're gonna hook this bike up, we're gonna get it all strapped down, gonna get the tack pickup, so we can get RPM, torque, horsepower, air fuel. We're gonna re-baseline this bike, okay? With all the mods performed, we're gonna baseline the bike, we're gonna overlay it with the original baseline and see kind of what happened, what the differences are, and we'll see. I don't know. It might make less because the tune's way out of whack. It might make a little bit more. I don't know. And then what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna do the full tune, obviously, ECU flash and the full dyno tune on it. And then we'll overlay, we'll stack everything up, and we'll just see what the differences are between the three, the final, the modded baseline, and then more or less the stock baseline. So with that, let's go ahead, let's get this thing strapped down, let's get it all hooked up, and let's get it warmed up, and then we'll do some more baselines. All right, guys, so we just got done baselining the bike, and interestingly enough, as you guys can see here on the graph, well, hopefully you can see it. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Hopefully this helps. I remember in the last video we just took, it was kind of hard to see the numbers. So actually, if you guys can, comment down below. Tell me if it's easy to see or if it's hard to see the graph. Let me know. Last video we did with the Gixxer, it was a little difficult to see, at least on my cell phone. It was kind of hard to see the graph. So just let me know, guys. Give me some feedback for those of you watching at home. Comment down below. Tell me if this is okay. If not, we'll come up with something different to help you guys see all this. But anyway, here we go. So as you can see on the graph here, the original baseline were these red lines, okay? That was the stock-ish baseline. It did 102 wheel horsepower with 61 pound-foot of torque. And then the new baseline, we were able to do 104 wheel horsepower with 61.77 pound-foot of torque. Now, I know we're kind of splitting hairs there, but again, for just removing a baffle, messing with the air filter, and or swapping the air filter, and then modifying the airbox, again, this is without any tuning, okay? And interestingly enough, look what happened to our air-fuel ratio. We actually went richer on the air fuel, which is really interesting to me. I wasn't expecting that. Really wasn't. So even me, been doing this for 10 years or so now, something like that. I'm still learning new stuff every day. Every bike, that's why I say every bike reacts differently. I don't know what it's gonna do until we do it, So again, we're running pretty rich now throughout this whole RPM range. It's 12.5 at 5,300 RPM. We're at 12.1 air fuel at 6,000. We can go a little higher in the RPM range here at 8,000 RPM. We're running 11.97. Guys, that's very rich. Same thing all the way up here, 11.66, 11.68, 11.67, all in this upper RPM range. And then here's that there's a small little restriction right here at kind of like the red line area. So we're gonna take all of that out. But again, minimal gains, a wheel and a half to 2 wheel horsepower gains and about a pound-foot of torque of gains throughout this upper RPM range here. And down low, we actually picked up a little bit too, actually. We picked up a pound-foot of torque and about 1 wheel horsepower, which, again, you double that. I mean, it's about a 2% gain. Again, 2% over a couple of little mods that we did with zero tuning is in my opinion, it's influential. It's we're going in the right direction. At least we didn't make less horsepower, okay? So now we can capitalize on the added airflow, the exhaust airflow too, increasing that airflow in the exhaust, increasing that airflow in the intake side of it. Now that we have both sides of that spectrum, right? So think about it this way. You have your engine, right? And you have two sides of the equation. You have your inlet and you have your exhaust, right? You got to get air in and you got to get air out. The faster you can get air in and the faster you can get the air out of the engine, the more power you make. It's as simple as that, okay? The fueling and the ignition components are basically there to balance that out, right? Is to make sure that that is adequate enough for the amount of air that you're bringing in and the amount of air you're exiting, right? Fueling also plays a part, but the general concept is the faster the air and the more air you can squeeze into that engine and the more air you can get out and the faster you can get it out, the more horsepower and torque you will make, okay? So all in all, now that we can capitalize on this, we are going to tune this bad boy up and hopefully we can bring this up considerably higher than where we're at. I'm hoping for about a 10 wheel gain. I know I'm kind of stretching for it, but between the restriction, I'm gonna play with some of the mapping in there. So these newer engines on the XSR900s are an 890cc, okay? So they're a little bit bigger than the older version. They should make a little bit more power, you know? We should squeeze a little bit more out of this. I have made some decent power out of these bikes, so I'm gonna go ahead and play with this combination here. I'm gonna mess with this bike a little bit here on the dyno and see what we can really pull out of this bad boy and see if we can make some decent power and some smoother power and lean this out so so the bike can actually ride correctly and not waste a bunch of fuel. So let me go ahead, let me get busy, guys. Let's start tuning this bad boy. Let's see what we can make. All right, guys, we got the XSR, the base map in it. We got the flash in it. Wow, sorry, it's been a long day. We got the flash in it. This is just a base map. It is a newer one. I haven't done a lot of the new ones yet. So anyway, this is just a base map. We're gonna see what it does and yeah, go from there. Let's see. Guys, we got the XSR all wrapped up and pretty happy considering that this exhaust system has a catalytic converter in it. Pretty happy with the numbers overall. You know, that's why when we were talking about it earlier, you know, doing some of the mods that we've done, it should enable us to make more power, but given that this exhaust still has a cat in it, we still have a restriction that's going on inside the system. All in all though, very happy with the final numbers. If you guys can see here, we ended up making 110 wheel. So we started at 102, bumped it up to 104 with just the mods, and then with the tuning we made 110, and we also gained about 5 foot-pound of about 4 pound-foot of torque here, ultimately all in all. But we'll target this low RPM down here, about 4,500 RPM. We ended up gaining rather from when the bike came in, we'll just say 54 wheel horsepower to 58. So we picked up a solid about 4.5 wheel, which I know that doesn't sound like a lot of power per se, but given the point at which we're at, right? Let's think about it as a rate of change, a percentage base. We are at 6%, actually, yeah, about that, about 6% rate of change over. So actually more than that, I take that back. So 54, you could say we could roughly double that as far as the rate of change in a percentage standpoint. So we picked up 4 wheel, you could double that, it's about 8%. 6%, your butt dyno is gonna feel a 6% jump in power. We picked up 8%. So even though it's a minimal gain per se, like 4 wheel, it's still 4.5 wheel, it's still gonna be a noticeable gain to the customer because we're above that 6% or 6% and greater threshold. So 8%, you're gonna feel that. As we track up here, going up into the higher RPM range, we're kind of seeing similar results here. We picked up another 4 wheel here. Now this is closer to a 4% change. We're getting closer to that, so it's not as drastic, but still gains nonetheless. And then as we inch up here to this higher RPM, let's just target 10,000. We ended up picking 6 wheel up there, or I'm sorry, 8 wheel up at 10,000 RPM. So closer to that, about 7% or so, 7 and some change percent rate of change, you're gonna feel that. And then we'll target where the restriction is, which is way up here in this final little section, which is actually going to give us a, let's see, we came in at 98, let's say, versus 110, so we picked up 12 wheel. All in all, that's, you're talking about, again, probably around, yeah, right around the 12%. So very, very good gains overall. We'll take a look at air fuel real quick. I know everyone's always interested in checking out air fuel stuff. Air fuel, again, look at that. We're dancing along this dotted line now, which is exactly what we want to see. Here, let me not highlight the green run. Let's see, there we go. So yeah, as you can see here, we basically dance all along this dotted line, which we're targeting 13.2 AFR. So great, clean air fuel runs now. Perfect the way we want to see it. Honestly, guys, solid gains. It's just gonna be, these are fun bikes. This thing's gonna pull very clean all the way to red line. Very linear power band. We got a couple little, little sways here and there, where the cam profiling and stuff. And that also could be exhaust, the way this kind of comes up, not falters off, but it doesn't, the rate of increase doesn't increase as much. It falls off just a hair, but we still have a very good increase. And it follows this, more or less this stock-ish curve here. And then we have a very linear pull all the way to red line. So no matter what, he's pulling horsepower all the way to red line, which is exactly what we want to see. Torque curve comes up, we peak around 7,200, and then it kind of falls off a little bit. Again, that could be due to the restriction in the exhaust. It could also be due to the cam profiling, any number of things. This is really a street bike. A lot of people ride this around in the street. This is this is a retro style bike. It's not exactly a race bike. So having that peak torque a little earlier in the power band, it's perfectly fine. This is what this bike is kind of suited for, is to come up to around that 8,000 RPM, and you're shifting a little bit earlier than that. So again, this bike wasn't exactly designed to be pegging off the limiter and live at high RPM, even though the CP3 engine can do it. It's just, again, this overall bike design. There's no windscreen, you're in an upright position. This is not a race bike. But all in all, everything is nice and smooth. Nice smooth torque curve, nice smooth power band, nice smooth AFR. This guy's gonna be thrilled when he leaves here today, or when he comes and picks it up rather. He's gonna be absolutely thrilled with this. So if you guys could, please comment down below. Tell me what you think about all this. Tell me what you think about the numbers. Tell me what you think about the bike. I love this color scheme. Yamaha, actually all the bikes nowadays, I love their color schemes. The colors are just so nice on all these bikes. The paints are beautiful. So yeah, guys, tell me what you think about overall of the bike. And man, this bike is absolutely beautiful, as you can see here. This thing is gorgeous. This is gonna be a lot of fun for the customer. He's gonna thoroughly enjoy this. So yeah, anyway, love you guys. Leave a comment, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Tell us your thoughts, and let's have a discussion. And we'll see you on another episode.